Welcome back, Dave.
Thanks. It's been a couple weeks.
The Black Aces have been real good. Although last week I told you not to come.
Yeah, you put me on the shelf, which I didn't appreciate. You know what? They're good, but they're like Annie's macaroni and cheese good. Like, you need Kraft Dinner. Anything other than Kraft Dinner is just crap.
We get a lot of shots. Everybody come to their net. We just have to get more and more pucks to the net.
We used to talk about in Vancouver getting pucks on net and
pucks on net.
Well, that's the key. We got to get the puck on net.
What were you saying about putting pucks on net?
Continue to put pucks on net, and
it's just getting pucks on net.
Pucks on net and driving and making it a hard night on them.
Live on tape from Gita's apartment, her palatial estate on the 23rd floor. This is Pucks on Net, a Vancouver hockey podcast. Doesn't talk about fantasy or fancy stats. We're going to go, Dave, to the Pucks on Net sports desk. He's going to tell us about an injury.
The hockey gods have struck again, and PK Subban is dead.
No! Although I was on Twitter and didn't even see what happened.
This is what you get for putting words and Listerine in Sidney Crosby's mouth, PK.
Did Crosby take him out?
Yeah, he did. Him and the big Listerine folk.
He clubbed him like a baby seal. No, it looks like he took a puck in the inside of the knee. I hope it tore something. I really don't like PK Subban.
Why?
Whoa!
Because we're big fans over on this couch.
I think that he's a bit of an idiot.
Come on, the show is just getting started.
He also, I can't really understand.
Is it idiot or is it just the showboatiness that bothers you?
Showboaty McBoatface.
It is a little bit of the showboaty McBoatface thing. I don't want players to completely conform, and I like a little personality in the game.
He's got only personality.
But he's
got game.
Yeah, but not as much game as he's had before. It's becoming too much about PK and not much about the jersey on the front of the crest.
It's all PK's
It's
fault.
all PK's brand. He's very brand conscious. We've talked about this a million times.
Do you think PK has people?
Oh, he's got people. He's got Kessler's old people.
We're going to put the P and the K and the 7 and the 6 together. It's going to look great.
He had a great gig lined up if the Preds were knocked out of the playoffs by the Blackhawks. He was going to be the MC at that Fire Festival with all those millennials down there.
Ja Rule's checked it.
That's totally PK's scene. But no.
You don't know that.
Part of it is just the whole... It's the whole, like, I have a million different sports documentary crews following me around all the time.
He's a hype man.
But he's his own hype man.
That's true.
You know, and it's just a little annoying. And I give him the benefit of the doubt. It's like somebody keeps, you keep defending someone to everybody, and then they just keep making you look stupid. It's like, yeah, but he's a great player. Yeah, but he's a great player. Yeah, the NHL is boring, and we need people like this. But then he does this whole Listerine thing. He puts bulletin board material on Sidney Crosby's bulletin board.
Is this why he doesn't get to go to the Olympics?
He got to go to the Olympics, and they sat him.
But he wasn't. Right.
That'll show him.
I don't know if I said Pucks on Net, a Vancouver hockey podcast doesn't talk about fantasy or fancy stats.
But we do talk about PK's people.
There are some fancy stats. We'll talk about that. Thanks for joining us wherever you got us from. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at PucksOnNetCA or PucksOnNetCa.
I won't call until you promise not to have Black Aces on the show when I'm available.
I stopped being able to hear.
Was that why I got scratched? Was it too many caws?
How about now?
That's better.
Yes, there was too many caws.
No, it's gone again.
Just keep podcasting.
Okay.
And you can give me a thumbs up when it's there.
You keep this one on the show. She can't even read.
Jesus H.
That's why I'm here. To keep things authentic.
You booted Dave off the show last week.
I politely asked him not to come because I wanted to have a conversation with Stu Walters.
He was pitching the softball game of his life out there.
I was salty, not happy. The kids out there wanted me. I wanted to be there, but hey, I was 1 hour away from a spin-off podcast. I had the board on order from Long and McQuaid. I had Sheila booked, but she wasn't going to show up.
So follow us on Twitter.
Come on, Stu Walters. If it was Cole, I would have made you come.
Yeah.
Aw, he listens. That's not Cole Renner. If you're out there listening, I know you are. I love you. You're doing God's work. You're selling season tickets to a team that nobody wants to see. You might as well be Mother f***ing Teresa, Cole.
Aww.
Love you, buddy.
We love him.
We really do.
Pucks on NetCA or Pucks on NetCa. And if you want
to eat it, Stu.
And if you want to support the show monetarily, head on over to patreon.com/pucks.net. A couple of pucks I sent out this week out of my own pocket. A couple of very, very nice people that listen and support the show.
Hey, spending that new job money.
Allegedly. I don't have it yet.
Oh, okay.
I have to sign stuff. That's coming. I was expedited.
Did you forge my signature on them?
Don't fall into the Neil Smith trap. He never signed anything with the Islanders, and look what happened.
Who?
Neil Smith agreed to be the general manager of the New York Islanders verbally with Charles Wang.
Yeah.
And even was their GM at the draft.
And this is prior to Gart Snow.
Yes, right before. And then about a month later, even though he had been showing up to work every day, but, well, you never signed a contract.
Oh.
And my drinking buddy, Garth, doesn't want to be your backup goalie next year. So he's the GM. So, Ryan, you got to watch yourself.
So don't sign anything in North Burnaby.
No, make sure you get it in paper.
No, yeah, I know. Sign something in North Burnaby. Don't show up for another day of work until you do.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Garth Snow is going to be sitting at that office. Hey, Ryan, what's happening?
You're out, pal.
I got pen to paper, bud. You're out, bud.
Stanley Cup Finals are happening. I don't know. I've been enjoying it.
It's very good. Too much yellow, and like you pointed out on the rundown, it's all Pantone 1235C.
And that is true, because if you think that they look similar, they are the identical colors of yellowish gold.
That's just clone stamp laziness.
Yeah. That's some Photoshop humor right there.
To be honest,
Nashville took a winning formula.
If you're not watching the game on a beautiful big set like the one that we are watching at Gita's Palatial Estate, it might be hard for some of those kids watching an illegal stream.
Pixelated.
It's all a big yellow blur, like Big Bird.
It's like watching scrambled pornography in the 90s.
Kids have no idea what we went through. They don't know.
Audio only of scrambled porn. Oh, this sounds like a good one.
We had to use our
I'm sure
imagination.
you can still find scrambled porn on the internet.
There might be a weird. Do you think there's a weird niche of people who like?
Do you want me to take a look?
I bet
scrambled porn is the only thing that gets it up.
Maybe for 5 minutes for paying, but I bet you there's a niche market that only watch like Red Shoe Diaries or.
So much David Duchovny's wiener.
Yeah, he wasn't naked in that. He read the letters at the port, which I can see from here right now.
It's the same way V.C. Andrews is the original 50 Shades of Grey.
Okay. That makes sense. So, yeah, Stanley Cup Finals. How much have you been watching, Dave?
Quite a bit, actually. I watched all the game on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And I've caught a couple of periods here and there of the first two games because they were during the work week. But I snuck out for the third period of games 1 and 2.
Ah, yes, the horseshoe up their asses periods.
Game 1, I'm going to agree with everybody and say that yes, that they got incredibly lucky,
right.
The Pittsburghian Penguins. But game 2, I was a little confused. And the Biscuit, friend of the show and cohabitationist of mine. Would agree with me on that one. We were very confused. We were wondering what hockey game everybody else was watching that we saw.
Couple of very...
Hey, what happened?
They went up 4-1.
And deservedly so.
Very fluky, goals. Just... Come on, there was about a 4...
Ice was tilted. I disagree.
That's bad ice. That's because it's June.
Yeah.
Where it's more solid on one end.
It's also the deep south.
It's swampy in the steel town.
I read great news. They had 50,000 people out downtown watching Game 3, and there was 11 arrests.
Yeah, that's better than the Red Mile.
Yeah, or the old Game 7 down
They're
here.
still rounding people up on old flip phone cameras down here. Shot in a Nokia 5.8 GL 3002.
Guy in a fake Kessler jersey and his backpack.
Spelled Kressler. Get him, Kressler. He's got all those Nordstrom shoes. They're all right shoes from the display. There were no lefts out there. It's like when I worked at Point Grey Golf and Country Club in my early 20s, and we had a rack of demo clubs that you could try.
Yeah.
And so someone stole 25 6-irons out of one of our sheds because it was just all different make and model Ping Golf 6-irons.
Yeah.
They're worthless. And then sure enough on Craigslist, collection of Ping 6-irons showed up.
Oh, Ping!
It's
wow,
and then
we
we debated it for 10 minutes. Do we call the cops or because this guy this is so stupid? We'll call them, and they arrested the guy for
That
stealing.
guy really needed whatever money he was going to get.
You're not going to get a lot of crystal meth for a bunch of 6-irons.
Anyways, can we talk about the giant, enormous crowd watching the game?
What about it?
They are the stars of this show.
Get
This hockey is fantastic, but the fans in Nashville are the stars.
Oh, no, absolutely. props to that. But as a fan who enjoys watching the game and cares and wants to hear all of that, I like to watch them at home. Like, I cannot watch a game in a giant crowd like that, standing up for like hours. What if that game went to overtime?
Well, Gita, you'd be drunk.
And strangers would be touching me.
They'd be rubbing up against you with a catfish.
Sorry, hey, it's just me.
It's Dave would be there. He'd have a big catfish. He's like, "Well, I thought I was going to get in. I thought I was getting in the game. I got to throw this somewhere."
Is that you, or is your catfish excited to see me? Now, I totally agree. The bigger the game, the more sequestered I like to be for it. To be honest.
Yeah, like I never went out to the CBC or whatever to watch.
Well, you didn't. Yeah, you didn't. Want to do that.
I did for Game 5, the game they played and they won.
San Jose.
Yeah, and I had actually was in Cambodia earlier that day.
Yeah.
As one does.
Yeah.
And
that's
No, but I'm specifically talking about the finals. Like, I had no desire to be anywhere near downtown.
No, one of the biggest mistakes I ever made in my life was going anywhere other than my house to watch that hockey game.
Yeah.
I watched at our dear friend Tony's house, who had bought a TV from Costco that day, only to take it back the next day.
Tony, do you have a TV? I do now.
Yeah, he invited people over to watch the game at his place, and he did not have a television yet.
That's like on Seinfeld. You don't even have a fridge, do you? No.
So, I agree. Like, I like to be alone, or just with a select group. Like Game 6 last year, the finals, it was just like me and China Dave, and it was great.
Yeah,
and it was an unspoken rule that we both adhered to: the minimal talking.
Yes, but to be out in June heat in Tennessee, drunk off your ass with catfish smells everywhere,
pass.
It's gonna be tough. So
that sounds like the Merritt Mountain Music Festival.
Yeah, before they,
a lot of drunk people, country music, fishy smell. Dead center.
For our live reaction moment, it's 4-1 once again, and that should do it. And there'll be a 6-game series. Although we did predict, Gita, you and I both predicted that Pittsburgh would win in 6 games.
Also, but before this game, or before the podcast started, both Dave and I said this seems like a home team wins type of series as well.
I think Taylor Swift needs to come back and sing Game 6 because they've really...
Taylor Swift is somewhere back in the States. She may be in Nashville.
She better be.
With her new British
singer.
boyfriend.
give me Carrie Underwood Fisher any day.
How come Carrie Underwood hasn't sang yet?
Maybe they're saving her for a big game.
Just like they were saving
it.
She did in the bullshit. She did in the conference final, didn't she? Look, there's Keith Urban. He's got the best hair out of any woman there.
Better than his wife, Nicole Kidman.
Keith Urban has very I need to see your manager highlights. He looks like a pissed off housewife at Barnes and Noble.
Well, he's got the highlights. That's what he said. That's what it reads.
She's mad that her Kindle doesn't work.
He has the Kate Goslin bob or whatever.
Yeah,
long in the front, short in the back.
Which is very, very, very. Can I see the manager?
Yeah.
You sold me this Kindle Fire and it doesn't work. Have you charged it? What? I have to charge it?
Press both buttons.
Oh, I see.
It's a very 2005.
2 things. PMAC is going to join us off the street. He's
Fair
on
enough.
his way here.
Oh, so not on the street.
Oh, is he homeless now?
No, he's still got his place.
That happened really fast. Maybe you should eat some Annie's.
Fall from grace, bud. Yeah. And the other thing we were talking about at the top of the show was...
Little mixtape for food?
was Sidney Crosby saying that... PK Subban saying that Sidney Crosby told him he had bad breath.
Allegedly. Apparently it's not even true. And this
Catfish breath?
Yeah.
And this is the thing. He puts bulletin board material on Sidney's corkboard there, and he scores a breakaway goal.
Yeah.
I know they won the game tonight, but you don't... He's not the kind of player that responds the way you want him to. He doesn't rattle. The more you get in his face, the better he plays. We've seen this 100 times.
Is that going to be a BS thing when if the Penguins come back and win Game 5 and 6?
Yeah.
And is it going to be every storyline is, well, maybe if PK Subban took the finals a bit more seriously instead of buying a bag of mouthwash, maybe the Predators would have won the Stanley Cup.
Yep.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're going to say. And they're not going to be wrong either.
They're not going to be. It's not going to be the only reason they fall apart.
Wait, guys, do you think he should have just checked his personality at the door of the finals?
As somebody, I don't know. I think he could have brought it up somewhere, like maybe. Because, I mean, he'd be interviewed at his stall and he could have it there. It's like, oh, just give me a second, guys.
But to walk in on game day, the biggest game of your entire fucking life?
Uh-huh.
Are you serious, PK?
It's all PK's fault.
I think it's disrespectful to the game. I really do. It's the biggest game of your career.
I think
you should be laser focused. If I am a coach and I can't get that guy dialed in now, then I understand why Montreal wanted to get rid of him. I get
player?
Yeah,
he's not that intense player.
We've come to realize he's not in the. He's more in the Wellwood camp and not the Kessler Burroughs camp, as we learned from the podcast. Well, he takes a little less seriously.
You know, he's had flashes in the playoffs where he's been brilliant, but you can't tell me for sure they wouldn't be here if they hadn't made that trade.
And what if
Shea Weber's still on this team? I think they might be in the same spot they're in now.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
Well, Subban he's not the impact player on this team.
He's not the difference maker.
No,
and that speaks to the volumes of why they are there and why Montreal isn't. He's much more comfortable, and he looks a lot more comfortable playing a 3 or 4 role.
Yeah, that's fair.
But this is probably more of a complete team because you remove and it's one particular player in Montreal that you remove and everything falls apart.
Yeah.
And how about if the Predators win the series? Everybody, the media storyline is going to be probably because PK Subban's having so much fun. He's so relaxed. He's bringing gum to the ice.
You know who he is? He's 2011 Roberto Luongo. Canucks win the Stanley Cup Finals. Roberto Luongo wins the Conn Smythe Trophy. Canucks lose the Stanley Cup Finals. Roberto Luongo loses his job and is eventually shipped out of town.
And because of the whole pumping his tires line and all that stuff.
It's a slippery slope, as they say.
So are you blaming PK for giving the Penguins bulletin board material and motivation to shut him up or show him up?
If Pittsburgh wins this series and Crosby scores a shit ton of goals from here on out, yes. If Pittsburgh wins the series and we don't hear much from Sidney Crosby, no.
That's fair enough.
Nashville wins the series, then I'm a big freaking idiot.
PK Subban is still a hell of a hockey player.
And I would take him on my team every single time. Yeah. I'm just saying I don't like it. And if I'm a coach, I have a word with him about it. I'm like, PK, look, man, I know you're loose and you're doing your thing, and I appreciate that. But your actions reflect on the rest of the team, and that's where I get mad. Where people are like, oh, everybody wants hockey players to assimilate. It's nice that we have some flavor in the league and whatever. PK brings that, but your antics are creating a distraction for the rest of your team.
It's the whole storyline yesterday and today.
You're putting yourself ahead of the team. The focus should be on the great story about Frederick Goudreau, who has come out of nowhere. He doesn't have a stall. He's getting dressed out of a cabinet.
Why?
Well, now it's a luck thing. They're not going to give him a stall because
you never mess with a streak. You watch Bull Durham.
I get it.
He probably stinks to high hell. They're not washing his socks. His shower shoes have fungus on them. But that's my thing. I like flavor. He wants to do shit like this in December in their 5th game of the season against Minnesota. Fine. But this is the biggest moment of not just his life, but of everybody's life on that team. Mike Fisher's 37 years old. He's been waiting for this his whole life. It's disrespectful.
Vernon Fiddler, guys like that.
Yeah. The chance may never come again, as they say. So, show your teammates a little bit of fucking respect.
I'm sure he shows them a lot of other respect in a lot of other ways.
I don't know. He's not too popular in Montreal.
I just think you were a little hard on PK to start off the show, and I just wanted you to clarify your comments a little bit is all.
I stand by them.
I like PK.
People don't like it, they can tweet at me, at Pucks on Dave. Go nuts.
You tweet once a week.
I do, but they're usually pretty good.
That's because I told him not to speak for the rest of us.
I do. My independent thoughts say this food is bad.
The views of the views and opinions expressed on this Twitter do not reflect those of Pucks on Net.
My employer.
I just I don't, as we talked last week, I don't necessarily have a big problem. I think that the bag of mouthwash thing is towing it. Yeah. And I'll agree with David. It's just look who you're playing against. You have 2 of the best players in the modern era that play better under pressure when their backs against the wall. So it's just, I don't know. You don't want to rile. You don't want to give them too much more to get that pumped up about.
You're not.
Did they get pumped up?
No, they got the shit kicked out of them tonight.
Yeah.
You're not going to rattle 2 guys who have won everything in this league. You've won shit all in this league.
Well, come on. I've won a couple things. Lester B. Pearson.
Yeah, whatever. No one cares about that.
Selke,
Have you won a Norris?
No.
Yeah, he won a Norris in the silly season.
Is PMAC here?
He won the Norris in the 22-game season. That
The
they
entire
played.
band is back together. We're practically Oasis.
Almost.
Oh, did you see Liam's tweet this morning or whatever?
Coldplay did it better. What?
Oh, he's like, come back. He's apparently Noel's out of the country, and he's like, come back here, you sad fucking sing your sad fucking song to these people. Like, just those two brothers hate each other.
They got the worst hair in the business too,
and they've had that for like 25 years.
Stick with what doesn't work. That's what they always say.
The other thing, PK Subban. Last week we were talking a lot about the John Scott comments from PK Subban's E60, and those are clarified. And then PK Subban this week, he tweeted to John Scott, he said, "I like meeting you too, bud. Hope the kids are doing well. Ignore the tweets. I never took it personal. Neither should anyone." So a couple of nice guys saying they at one time hated each other.
PK's a paper nice guy. I don't buy it at all. I really don't. I don't
like
like
all
him.
that money. He loves.
He gave all that money, and that's great. And I don't want. Again, we've talked about this 100 times. I don't want to criticize a guy for giving $10 million away to a children's hospital.
Right.
But did he have to do it with his own Vice Sports documentary crew following him around?
Well, it's good for the brand.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, I point to people like the Sedin twins, who we find out well after the fact what they did.
And now they're getting honorary degrees from Kwantlen. Hello.
You can get one of those with your fare saver. With your, if you get a 3-zone bus pass, they give you a Kwantlen degree automatically. Soft sciences only. Sociology, anthropology,
they
psychology.
got law degrees from Kwantlen, didn't they?
Oh, man. That's got Dr. Nick Riviera written all over it.
Kinda.
I don't know. I'm married to a UBC law grad.
I didn't know law was a program at Kwantlen.
It's spelt lob.
Well, you know what? I think we've lost. I think we've lost all the PK Subban fans with.
I did my master's at Sprottshaw.
So I just figured if you are going to take your master's at Sprottshaw, you'd probably need to have good eyesight. So I'm going to plow through this real quick.
You get a degree in marketing at Sprottshaw, and you can be one of PK's people.
I just got some new glasses yesterday.
Oh, Paul walks right in, grabs the script.
No one does the read like Paul does.
I'm only. Am I on? Am I on?
You're on.
I'm only here to read the ad. That's financial reasons here. Hey, with all the quiet, Ryan, I'm trying to do a good, clean read this time. With all the options out there, why is it that so many people, including local sports pros like Scott Oak, were watching him with his beauty glasses on? I'm sure they're from Image Optometry. They trust their eyes to Image Optometry, Ryan. Well, it could be the online prices with bricks and mortar service, or it could be the direct billing, or it could be that they're the only, all caps, only ones to offer a doctor's eye exam and a complete select pair of glasses for just $89.95. What do we say that was? McGillney, Morozov?
Yep. Alexei Morozov, Alexander McGillney.
That's an unbeatable deal.
No, McGillney first. It's cheaper that way.
Maybe I better get my ass to Image Optometry.
You should. It's an unbeatable and unbelievable deal that'll ensure you catch your next match in glorious HD. You gotta see Mike Fisher in HD. That man, come on.
He's so pretty.
He's a handsome man.
Especially in HD. I mean, what else could you expect from the most affordable eye care chain in British Columbia? Image Optometry, the official eye doctors of the Canucks, and PMAC on the street, and Pucks on Net. Online at image.ca. Imagine more for less.
Image.com.
Oh, yeah, that one too. All right, see you guys later.
Thanks for stopping by, Paul.
I made it just in time.
PMAC, how's fun employment?
It's been fantastic. I was on the road for a couple of weeks.
Yeah?
I got called in at the border. They thought I was a drug mule.
I may have made some calls.
It was like
they don't call you Fenton Paul for nothing.
It's like 10:30 at night. There's nobody in lineup, and she's like, "Yeah, we're gonna need you to go into the special lane. Go park over there. Thanks."
He's a shifty character, that PMAC on the street.
Shiftiest. Anyway.
So we were talking about PK Subban.
He doesn't even have a job.
We were talking about PK Subban before he got here. And I just want to I want to get your take on his antics.
Have you smelled that man's breath?
I heard that it's perfectly fine.
Yes, perfectly adequate.
And Sidney Crosby said PK made it up.
Yep.
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm just establishing myself. I've
They're
been on the road all day.
You just got here, Paul. They're very upset with me that I really dislike PK Subban.
Dave's in the camp that PK has given the Penguins too much bulletin board material, but as we just saw, they just beat the shit out of them.
I don't know. Yeah, it's old school versus new school. I don't mind a little friendly. It's nothing bad. It's like the good old days with like a Bobby Hull type of character, but without all the bad stuff.
I just don't believe in becoming a distraction. You know what else is a distraction?
What?
Every time they show Carrie underwear on the screen, she's pointing her phone at herself. She's the most like millennial that ever millennial
What
ever.
does she do with them? Let's
I don't know,
see
but
if we
she's
can
not,
find them.
I honestly think
Snapchat.
I think I saw more of the hockey game than she did, because every time they show her in the crowd, she's like lip syncing whatever song the DJ is playing.
You know what she's lip syncing? The Predators goal song,
Jesus,
because
Take the Wheel?
they played it so much tonight.
Mike Fisher, take
2
the
hours
wheel.
ago, she just posted this picture with Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah,
How's Wayne look?
Where's his hand?
On his Jack and Coke.
I love what Wayne Gretzky is
He's got
becoming.
an expression on his face.
He's becoming everybody's favorite uncle.
He's drunk uncle.
He's drunk uncle.
I
Drunk
think-
rich
I think
uncle who
this
just
is exactly what you're referring to.
Yeah, she's shooting the game on her phone. Look, yeah, there it is.
It's this. Selfies and...
Selling the game in Nashville. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
Wait a minute. I need to go be an ambassador to the game in Nashville with all the bars right across the street from the rink. I'm going to be there. Me and Ness.
Yeah, why is he there? I love that he's there, but why is he there?
Oh, that's because I saw this in the elevator coming up. They announced the greatest NHL team ever.
And it was the Koki Oilers.
84-85 Oilers.
As it should be.
And I just, are we okay with that decision?
Brought to you by Pablo Escobar. Yeah.
Sure.
No, of course that we're okay with that. That really was like an absolutely incredible team.
Yeah.
Like Hall of Famers galore. You could do an entire Hall of Fame starting lineup with that team.
If only all teams could start out, in another league and then get to hold on to all the underage players.
They
It'd be
acquired illegally.
You go in, a good draft year, the first 10 picks in the draft, you sign them up to this league where you can play as a 17-year-old, and then you can't make us give up those. That's our whole fan base right there.
He's got a
Isn't that what Edmonton has been doing for the last 10 years?
Be like,
It's new wave. It's the same thing, but,
Well, they just cold envelope it now. But
didn't work as well.
But no,
at
they
first.
signed Messier and Gretzky before they were eligible for the draft. That's true. But also...
Can you imagine if Indianapolis had stuck it out for another couple of years?
We'd all big Racers fans.
7-time Stanley Cup champion Indianapolis Racers.
Still rocking the Cooperalls. No, it's true. Like, they had them both. They gave Messier... So Messier was a bit of a journey. For Messier, there was a stopover with the Cincinnati Stingrays or some shit like that.
Okay.
But he went Indianapolis to Cincinnati to Edmonton, and Wayne went... He was sold for a pack of rubles or whatever.
Pack of cigarettes.
Pack of cigarettes and Nelson Scalabania's Picasso or whatever. Whatever bullshit, crazy things were happening in the disco era.
Yeah.
But
hey,
also,
we shouldn't be so tough on Gretzky. I mean, for a guy that goes undrafted to do what he did in the NHL, it's impressive.
There's hope for everyone.
Just a quiet, humble 378 goals in one minor hockey season in Brantford. No one saw that coming.
Good golly.
People forget.
Well, yeah, it's not like all those games are on TV.
I'm pretty sure Kyle Elwood had those many points in the O.
The legend of the Brantford streak. Now, to be fair, Glenn Sather was ahead of the curve with the draft. Literally out of Cliff Fletcher's mouth from back in those days.
Yeah.
Draft schmaff will sign our way out of trouble. That's a very famous quote. But Glenn Sather he drafted really well. Grant Fuhr was like a second-round pick. Paul Coffey wasn't a first-round pick. Like, he did find a lot of these guys in the draft before anybody took the draft. Was just a crapshoot. It was like, I like this guy's name. Wickenheiser. Sounds good. First overall pick of the Montreal Canadiens, Doug Wickenheiser. Second guy who's available, who knows? Whatever. Don't like his face. I'm not taking the black goalie. That's weird.
If only it had been Haley Wickenheiser.
Yes, only if it had been.
You got headphones now?
Yes.
We've had headphone mix-ups all game. I got the top 10 teams of NHL history in front of us.
Okay.
84-85 Oilers. I'm sure they had like 190 points or something. 91-92 Penguins. They were really good too.
They were good.
Maximum was 164, so to get 190 points.
Wow.
Exactly.
Every time they hit double digits in goals, they got an extra point. That actually that'd be a fun rule.
They didn't have ties back then, so it was a different game.
Oh, I said I'm going with the wow. It's like that Beck song, just wow.
Wow.
Who's Beck?
He's that guy that
Beck's been around for like 30 years.
I know. That was fun. That was fun. Look, I saw you have like a little brain.
He's got 2 turntables.
He's a loser, baby.
Yep.
So why don't you kill him?
He's got a devil's haircut. 76-77 Montreal Canadiens, who are like, that's a almost perfect hockey team.
They won 5 Stanley Cups in a row during that era. Maybe they should have won number 1.
Number 4, the 87-88 Oilers.
We're back. And
Number 5, the 86-87 Oilers.
Oh, I see what they did there. That's kind of lame.
Is it by points or just?
They should have done it like they should. If like the team's not turning over too much, they should have bunched this shit together.
I think so.
Where did the 2010-2011 Vancouver Canucks fit in?
106.
106.
2
Okay,
President's
that's
trophies in a row. Back-to-back championships, just like Ryan Kessler intended.
97-98 Red Wings. That's where they swept the Capitals after they had that bad limo accident with the Russian guys.
Right.
That's right.
82-83 Islanders.
Was that the I think that's also the highest payroll to ever win the Stanley Cup.
Would it be that one or like the 002?
I feel like that's the later, the one where they beat the Hurricanes. When they had Luke Robitaille on like the 5th line.
Yeah, it would have been one of those two.
When they had
the Rangers are the only team to ever exceed that, and they definitely did not win a cup in those years.
Oh.
So I'll just say this.
Okay.
That was a sad time for Slats.
Out of the top 10, every team is either a Red Wing or a Red Wing, a Canadian, or an Oiler, or it's aside from Pittsburgh and the Islanders. So it's
okay.
There's a dominance of a couple.
Scotty Bowman's all over this thing. I think he coached like 4
all
of
of
those
them.
teams. Yeah,
you know how I feel about Scotty Bowman.
He's the greatest.
Some Canuck news. The Canucks are going to get the 55th overall pick in the draft for the most nonsensical rule ever. They abolished after this.
Yeah, the Tortorella rule.
And Columbus is smart because they were really good this year. So that's going to be a 55th overall pick.
Okay.
And they had up until next year to give it away, but everybody thinks that they're going to be a lot better next year too.
Well, and there's a lot of talk about this draft. I don't think it's as bad as some people say it is, but it's not like as good a draft
You
as
think
next year,
it'll
allegedly.
surprise people?
I think there's some players that could surprise in there. There's opportunity there for guys to jump up.
Well, as you know, there's that Casey Middlestad has nothing but room for improvement on how to surprise somebody, as he couldn't do one bench press or pull up.
We've seen that before.
Yeah, and look what happened to Sam Bennett.
Yeah, made the league at what was he, 16?
He was pretty terrible last season, though.
He's the trade bait that I remember. I read today at lunch a reputable Russian newspaper is going to that the Flames are trying to trade for Alexander Ovechkin.
Ooh, did you read that in the Triumphant Traveler?
Ovechkin and Kane on the Flames.
No, Evander Kane is going to.
Yeah, that's what I
read in the Semen Sentinel, my favorite Russian newspaper.
Oh,
yeah?
That the Canucks are trying to move up into the 3 spot. They're offering up Chris Tanev and a 2nd rounder to the Dallas Stars.
Oh.
That doesn't seem like enough to move into the number 3 stuff,
especially in a weak draft year.
People know that Chris Tanev is like the new Sammy Salo, and he only plays like 60 games a year. But no offensive upside.
In a draft year like this, you don't think straight up just Tanev for the pick on its own?
No. Oh, absolutely not. Because that pick represents a player that will be better than Chris Tanev almost right away. The Helkinen, the Finnish kid.
You're just training for the potential.
You're building the Finnish towers of destruction.
It's one of those
things. They will finish
though,
your chances to score.
It's one of those. Wow.
The U levy will never break when it's supported by the Helkinen tower. I can do this all day.
Can you tell we missed this guy? Stu who? That's right.
Not as good looking and not as funny.
Well, I mean, he's not as funny.
Keep your day job as a professional, Stu.
Capitals are talking about...
Oh, yeah, he's here now. I got to leave. You just giving me the old... She's like Mike Keenan with brunette podcast hosts.
It's like, get out.
Maybe you should just give him the captaincy. Trevor, come on. Just give it to Messier.
Is that what's happening? Oh, man. Am I being Linden out of here?
That's the first question. If we ever got Trevor Linden on the show, I'd be like...
What really happened?
You didn't give it to him, did you? Oh, well, Pat Quinn was a great influence.
Of
on
all
my
your
life.
excellent ideas, that might have been your best idea ever. That would be the first question we would ask Trevor Linden.
Set the tone.
Because you know what? Because you guys talked about that. I listened to the Kurt McLean episode, and you guys got into the trade to Carolina and all that shit.
Right.
10 minutes in.
Because so much has been written about the West Coast Express years, and it's been talked about to death.
Yeah.
So much has been written about the recent run, the 2010 to 2013 run when they were good, and the 94 run. It's that psychotic, weird Donald Trump administration-like era of the Vancouver Canucks where all kinds of goofy shit was happening. Like 97 to 99.
Yeah.
As soon as Pat Quinn left.
Yeah.
That I feel like our demographic of fan base, and they can all tweet at us and correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like that's what people are really interested in, because the shit that happened back then is so outrageous that it has to be true.
How about Kevin Weeks getting robbed at Granville Island, and that's why he was late for practice that day?
Yeah, like,
Sorry, I don't
That's a
remember
little
that.
later, but I guess
That's
it's not
a-
that
no,
far
that's
out of the
around.
way.
You
Yeah,
can
that
tie to
is still that
99,
era.
2000. Yeah, let's say 97 to 2000 was that
Well,
missing the playoffs.
I'll tell it-
every
we'll
year
Yeah, because
era.
Kevin Weeks
The
got
Messier
traded
years.
to
All of the Messier years.
Yeah,
Vancouver when? 99?
it was the upside.
98
or so,
yeah.
But he's famous for he told some tall
Infamous.
tales, infamous,
Oh.
and he was late for practice. And they said, "What?"
Kevin Weeks listens to this podcast, doesn't he?
He
Well,
did.
Yeah.
Twitter.
Allegedly.
I'm sorry if I'm citing newspaper articles about this,
That'd be a guy I'd like to get on. Maybe with the stenographer.
Aren't you guys chummy? Just make that happen.
I'll just tweet at him. Hey,
Yeah.
goalie of the future. I hear
you-
you're podcast guest of the future. Come on down.
Podcast guest of the future, Kevin Weeks.
But so he shows up late. Somebody had retweeted this this year, and it's like, oh, you ever forget about the time he was allegedly arrested? And he said that he comes to practice like, oh, I'm late. I got robbed down by Granville Island, and everyone's like, holy shit, what happened? Like, should we call the cops? No, no, it's fine. It's like, well, what happened? Well, this guy came up to me. He's like, hey, aren't you Kevin Weeks? And I said, yeah. And he's like, follow me, get in your car. And he's like, he made him, this is from this Province or Vancouver Sun article. It's like,
Yeah.
drive behind Kevin Weeks followed this guy out of Granville Island to some alley where he robbed him of a little bit of money, but
Why
nothing
would
too
you
crazy.
do that?
Because he couldn't think he was late for practice.
Just drive away.
They teach you that in elementary
Oh,
school.
no, wait.
Don't get in the car with the stranger.
It was his own car.
Don't follow the stranger.
The very pants I was returning. Now, no, it's pretty obvious that the reason that this is so crazy is because it was totally not true.
I mean, yeah, it's his story is full of more
teach your 5-year-old that.
More holes than his
got it.
goaltending style. There we go. 5 hole, 7 hole,
Yeah.
9 hole, weeks hole. Right through the weeks hole.
Speaking of,
He's never coming on the show now.
Oh
He
no!
may come on to clarify.
Bless his little heart.
I was
I'm
robbed.
a fan. I'm a fan of the guy, but yeah, that is an interesting.
He seems like a perfectly nice guy, but at this point in his life, when he's a lot more immature,
Kevin, it's
Yeah.
time. It's time to come on the show and come clean. You'll feel so much better. You'll be unburdened. You were late for practice because you were hitting something. That's fine.
there's nothing wrong with that. This
Yeah.
is 2017.
You're a single player in the crazy era. There was no pressure. You were 25 points out of the playoffs. You might as well get a little afternoon strange.
Nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that.
It's a Mike. It would probably been a Mike Keenan practice. Nobody would want to go to that.
That's fine.
So we here at Puckson officially pardon Kevin Weeks.
we do.
Pardon. He's been pardoned. Can we say that? Paul?
You were on Granville
Yeah,
Island. You met a
sure.
nice girl, a little actress coming out of the Granville Island Improv Theater,
theater sports.
and you played a little open mic night, and you missed practice. It happens.
It happens.
It happens. They had any number of one of your backup goalies who was really the number one goalie because he couldn't quite get the reins to cover for him.
Corey Schwab.
Gar Snow, Corey Schwab, Manny Legacy was briefly back there for a time.
For like a night.
I was at that game. That's why I remember.
think I might have been.
They played the Chicago Blackhawks, and Artem Chubarov scored his first NHL goal. The first of we thought would be many as a Canuck. Yet he triumphed us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just what I was going to ask. Did he not do the same thing?
He went to Magnitogorsk.
Yeah.
Yeah, he left his car in the underground parking lot at Rogers Arena during the lockout.
They
and
thought
then-
he
And just took the SkyTrain to the airport?
I guess his car was there for like a year.
They thought that he was putting in late hours like Costanza. This guy is in the gym. He's in the. We always just miss him. He just left the room.
Oh, speaking of that, Jake Virtanen. Like I say, you can get all your Canucks news from Snapchat or Instagram.
Yeah.
A lot of posts about him being in the gym, running the treadmill out in Abbotsford at 11:30 at night.
Isn't he playing ball hockey?
When's that happen?
We don't know.
I snap you from the treadmill too. I don't show you the pie I just bought.
It's rollerball.
Oh, sorry.
It's Eastern Europe. It's like
That's
literally
right.
the movie
I know you hate
Rollerball.
rollerball. You're okay with ball hockey.
No, I hate roller hockey. If it's rollerball, respect. That shit's crazy.
It's rollerball in Poland.
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Oh, that's why those articles.
Rollerball. You ever seen that movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what Virtanen's doing.
So Virtanen,
it's a post-apocalyptic sport that happens in Eastern Europe. It literally is rollerball. That's what he's going to do. You heard it here first.
And he's
I don't know what we're talking about.
Well,
right now.
Paul, go home tonight and watch Rollerball on Netflix.
It's pretty good. It's very 2000.
If you want to see LL Cool J on rollerblades, this is the movie for you. And Paul Heyman.
He's the commentator. Jake Virtanen was watching Rollerball on Netflix one day. He's like, "That's what I'm gonna do this summer.
Look at that cardio.
That's gonna win." He's rollerblading.
Those Jake handles don't stand a chance. That's right. He named his love handles after himself.
So he's posting a lot of this gym stuff. Instagram and Snapchat is.
No, you know what he probably named his love handles? Pumpkin and Apple.
Dave is going to get a letter bomb from Mrs. Virtanen. I just know it.
I don't know.
They
Or
shut down
it'll be baked
AOL.
into a pie.
They shut down AOL finally. All of Abbotsford is dark. There's no email anymore.
God.
I was just out there on Saturday. That is true. I can confirm that.
You were in Abbotsford on Saturday
Yeah,
too?
I didn't come by and see how it
They
worked.
tried to
Why
fix
not?
They tried to fix their internet in Abbotsford with a TV antenna.
I'd like to thank the dozens of people who tuned in to watch me call a rugby championship on Saturday.
Who won?
Paul got some
Carson
airtime. He
Graham
wins.
from North Vancouver, just down the road from me.
Is that a high school?
It is.
Okay.
Didn't they complain about getting all their Yeezys dirty on the field? My Weezies.
So Jake Virtanen's going to play roller hockey in
Okay.
Poland, and the other thing that happened with the Canucks right now is Jim Benning has had another PR snafu.
Oh no!
Which-
What did he say?
Gita, this might be your opportunity
He
to
said
finally.
all prospects matter.
Yeah.
Where am I looking?
No, I was saying this is now your opportunity to go champion a job at the Canucks, so you could tell him how a thing or two about public relations.
He needs a Sean Spicer.
Keita's going to hide in the bushes while Jim Benning says stupid shit.
He's not signing Ryan Miller. Not going to happen.
Conchete is totally a word. It's a term for 4-year entry-level contract. What, that doesn't exist either? Never mind.
How does the cap work? Wait, we can only pay him how much? Oh, jeez.
No, what is this, the North American
No,
hard-
it's a new one.
Oh, really?
So Jim Benning, he goes on. I don't know who he's talking to, but he basically says, Jacob Markstrom's the starter going forward.
Yeah.
And we're all like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's progress. Ryan Miller's
the oldest prospect in the world. He's like 37.
He's the Nolan Baumgartner of goal.
Any day now.
And he's gonna, Ryan Miller's gonna go to LA, or he's gonna go to some contender. We're gonna have Jakey Markstrom, who's just gonna be 2.68 GAA and have 10 wins.
Right.
And it's gonna be great. And then 20 minutes later, somebody from I think Rick Dollywall from 1130 or something contacted Benning, and it's like, do you want to clarify what you're saying? And then Jim Benning was like, "Oh, I mean, eventually, not now."
When Benning makes his comments, who's he talking to?
If not now, but when?
I think he's talking to himself and a tape
So
recorder.
not to actual reporters, just he's talking in the presence
He's
of
just
people.
saying. He's just gabbing. He's laying on the couch eating apps.
Because if Benning wants to come on here and clarify some comments,
We could have Benning talk. He would just go we'd have a 2-hour show that week. I tell you what.
This is a no spin zone with Jim Benning.
Oh, what were you gonna say?
He did one interview with Joey Kenward on the Canucks, tinted glasses. They do some good
The
stuff.
softball hour.
Usually. And he did another one with 1040. Which one was that? Was this the
I think it was the
1040?
1040 one.
Okay.
Tinted glasses.
Yeah.
You should go to Image Optometry.
Here's Joey Kenward
They
throwing.
sell those at Image Optometry. You don't want to buy them unless you really want them, though. Those Canuck tinted glasses.
He's got Joey Kenward. Ryan's miming the slow pitch softball movement, lobbing up softballs.
So what did he ask him?
I wasn't sure because
okay.
I saw little clips of both of those or read about them on Twitter, I guess, but I
Okay.
didn't actually catch the entirety
he
of
wants
either.
to do the Markstrom impersonation.
But yeah, Markstrom's an interesting
I
character.
can sit on the bench and wear a towel.
He's very Kevin Weeks. He's the goalie of the future
Did he
out
get
of Florida.
Allegedly robbed.
That is not like a tag you want because you clearly never get to play.
Marky
Let's
Mark
just
is, I think he's
label you.
already won a lot more games than Kevin Weeks ever did.
Yeah.
Kevin Weeks lasted a long time in the NHL.
But not with
fair.
but not with Vancouver.
Not with Vancouver, but I mean, the dude played in the league till he was 38.
Well,
I think.
what's the
So
plan?
it's not like he's a bad goalie.
It's not like they're gonna ever. Okay, here's the thing. Here's the difference between Corey Schneider, Roberto Luongo, and Jacob Markstrom and Thatcher Demko.
Okay.
Demko. So when Schneider paid his dues and played in the minors for a long time, probably a little too long, right? Which is not a bad.
Was it
Which is not a bad.
2-3 seasons.
3 seasons, which is not a bad thing for a goalie. But he came out after college. He was like 24 when he finally got the call.
He was overripe and ready to go.
And then with Luongo being there, he even had more time to ripen as a couple of years as a backup. With Demko, this isn't going to happen. Demko's going to play one more year in the AHL, and then he's going to be the starting goalie of the Vancouver Canucks. Worst kept secret in this town right now is that Demko is the future. So my question is,
why would that be a secret, though?
If it's not. It's the worst kept secret.
It's not a secret
because
at
they're
all.
telling us that. Well, the secret is that Benning is telling us that Markstrom's going to be the number one goalie someday.
Oh,
but that's not true. So,
well, that's the problem with this statement, though. You can't say, "Oh, not now, but later," because it's Demko.
If he'll be the starter when Thatcher Demko's ready to go.
Here's PMAC. Here's my question: if Markstrom isn't going to be your number one guy ever, but he's done enough in a couple of short sample sizes to show that he's a decent, competent goaltender, which means he's an asset. Why would you not just get rid of him now, trade him for like a second or third round pick?
I don't think you could
sign Brian Elliott to be a stopgap because he's decent, and we're not trying to win any hockey games in this town. So get Miller's cap hit off the books. Don't re-sign him. Pick up a Chad Johnson, an Ocho Cinco, if you will, or a Brian Elliott. Trade Markstrom because you know that Thatcher Demko is going to be your 22-year-old starting goaltender.
Well, aren't they need a second goalie for next year anyway, so aren't they going to have someone who can go 50-50 with Markstrom
We'll just get both those Calgary guys. It'll be fine.
I'd like to pose an interesting topic. Dallas has to unload 2 shitty goalies.
Maybe if you're going to do the lottery pickup, you go, hey, we'll take we're very pro Niemi.
You know what? It's like the Vegas Golden Knights are talking about they're willing to take on shitty contracts if the deal's right.
Yeah.
Why don't the Canucks do the same? They've got some cap room. They got $6 million off the books from Ryan Miller.
There's been a lot of talk of that, and I guess Dallas keeps coming up before even talking about the pick before they had won the lottery spot. So why not? See something like that happening. Because, I always assumed that would be if there was a tandem to Dallas deal. Yeah. That type of thing would probably fit into something like that. It could be a big-ish one, at least for the layers involved.
That would be kind of funny if Antoniemi...
He's what? The Canucks are going to be terrible. Antoniemi is
terrible.
Terrible. Yeah. He'll get 18 wins, Paul?
They could spin that too.
Yeah. I was going to say he's only got one. I believe Niemi's got 1 year, or they both have 1 year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let
both
goals in and Anti-Niemi.
Anyway, but that was the rumor. And they need another goalie next year. I do think they're going to keep Markstrom for a year, see what he can do. And ideally, you'd probably... And he's on the cheap relative to if he can be a 50% to 80% of your game's goalie.
If you wanted to get ultra aggressive with it, you could trade him. But no, the smart move is
he's not going to get you much right now.
He knows our system, which isn't much.
Yeah.
Goalies' values though right now.
Look at Eddie Lack.
It is. There's a lot of free goalies.
So
out
they'd
there.
rather if Markstrom can show up next year and then challenge Demko, or Demko can be the backup behind Markstrom, pushing Markstrom. They'd probably love that to happen.
I'll tell
and
you
then
this.
they trade one of them when their values are theoretically higher, you'd think in 2 years or something.
From what they saw of Demko in the back half of last year, the second he steps into Vancouver, it's his net right away. Like right away.
I've been a huge Demko supporter, but I don't know. Teams don't normally do that. It's better to not put the pressure on.
But there's nobody established here for him to fight for the job. Right. It might take a couple weeks.
But that's the thing. If Markstrom...
might take a 3-game road trip.
That may be the best scenario because there won't be any goaltending controversy to walk
Thatcher's the backup.
into.
Thatcher's the backup goalie. They go through California. He's not the backup goalie.
Which would literally be the first time in years there's no controversy.
It might be nice. Wouldn't it be nice to have that kind of stability for the next 10 years in this town? where we can all safely go buy the Demko jersey and feel good about it?
I've been president of the Demko fan club since like the day they picked him, and I've been watching him play college ball for, before he moved up to Utica. I do think, like ideally you have Markstrom there and you bring him in no pressure, and he's not going to be overly ripe like Schneider if he's coming in after this coming year.
Yeah.
So it's perfect to bring him in that year to play 30 to 40 games and probably show he can be the starter.
Yeah.
But not have to be the starter as soon as he shows up. Because that's a big thing. I think like a guy like John Gibson didn't come into Anaheim thinking, I've got to be the guy. And not that he's lit the league on fire per se, but he's been pretty good for a guy as young as he is. So like you want him in a situation like that where there's no pressure to do it, but there's some wiggle room.
Does he get games this year? Do you guys think he'll play? Because he got called up last year, but he didn't play.
Yeah, nobody ran over Markstrom or whoever it was.
And that was just a carrot. Apparently, that the whole point of that was the reward of like come hang out for the weekend. They knew it would be a quick call. Yeah, and they knew it would be a quick call. They knew that Miller was going to be right back. So just come up, get a little, hey, we'll take warmies.
Yeah.
But no, do you think next year he's going to get a couple of games?
My pipe dream, now that I've listened to all of the very good things you've had to say, and then I can just steal from them and come up with the best idea and sound the smartest.
Okay.
Is they don't sign Ryan Miller. They let Markstrom play, and he does half decent. Mm-hmm. And then he gets dealt February deadline-y, and he's showcased all year. Somewhere around December, when Thatcher Demko is playing lights out in the AHL, and they just say, "Fuck it, we want him." He comes up sometime in 2018. Markstrom goes to LA again because they love trading for goalies there, or just anywhere. And then Thatcher Demko.
Bishop, that'll work.
It depends who else the Canucks have in net playing with
Brian
Markstrom.
Elliott, Antoni Niemi, Kerry Letgoal's in.
Because
Ocho
they'd want somebody, especially if it's late in the season and it's garbage time and the Canucks are again losing consecutive games. You don't want Thatcher Demko coming into the team late
That's a
in the
good
season
point.
If you're losing.
That's a very good counter-argument.
When you talk about the call-ups, I think he might get called up and he'll get a couple of games, but I still think they'd call up Dick Bachman the majority of times if there's extended injuries, because you don't care what happens. Or is he, I don't know, has he got another year? If he's around as the third stringer next year.
I would like to see a spot start, and I could envision it where, let's say one of the Canucks goaltenders gets hurt. Yeah, Bachman's up for most of the time, but then they go an Eastern road trip. It's a short hop from Utica. Yeah. You give him a start. You play him against the Islanders or the Rangers. That's the scenario I see.
Because what you get if you bring up that other goalie down in Utica is exactly what just happened when Bachman was up. All of a sudden, Thatcher's the guy in Utica and is playing every game for 2 months in a row, and that's probably preferable because that team's going to win more games this year than the Canucks are.
Are we excited about Thatcher Demko because he's the only prospect that the Canucks have that we can really feel super confident about and hang our hats on right
he's
now?
The only
Besser already out of that pool?
Yeah, he's top 6 forward, baby. Don't listen to what they said about him at the end of the year, which was crazy.
What were they saying about him?
He's scoring goals at this time of year.
But that's the time of year he was allowed to play.
I'm like, you know what? You know how many goals everybody else on the team scored at every other time of year? Not very many. This guy got 4 goals in 8 games. I'm going to get a little excited.
Demko from the last few years has got to be the guy you're looking at as the best opportunity to be a premier all-star promotable guy.
I feel pretty good about Olli Juolevi too.
There's lots to feel pretty good about.
Jordan Subban, I think, is back. I think he played himself back onto the radar. He was off the radar. Now I think he's back.
But don't they have 20 defensemen that could make the team next year under contract?
I think with what we're seeing, in Nashville, with the smaller defensemen having a lot of success.
Yeah. Well, did you hear about what PK was? He's been calling Jordan and telling him to watch tape of
Ryan Ellis.
Yeah,
hey,
Ryan
be
Ellis.
good at hockey,
like me.
Yeah, do what he's doing. You'll be fine.
He'll be carrying Listerine in by the bucketful next year during training camp.
But anyway,
ticket.
It's good. You talk about guys that are second generation NHLers or even third generation.
Right.
There's something of value if your dad's an NHLer. If your big brother, you're getting some of that effect as well. And I don't think it hurts having your big brother calling you, going, "Watch this, do this, come train with me in the summer." So it's nice to see him. Looking at a guy that is making a big difference right now in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
The problem was Willie Desjardins didn't like him, and then so they
Yeah.
kept him in Utica, and his coach in Utica is now the head coach of the Canucks, and his head coach in Utica didn't like him. Nobody likes Jordan.
Oh,
We'll see.
why?
Yeah, we'll see what Travis.
Because nobody likes PK either. He's a screw up.
Do
Maybe
we know that he
Nashville should
doesn't
pick
like
him
Jordan
up.
though?
We'll take Ryan Ellis straight up for him.
Do we know? Like, did Travis Green straight up say he doesn't like him? I know
He
there
was
was some
benched
tough
a lot.
love.
He was benched a fair
But does
bit.
that mean that is that expectations? Like he knows some of these guys can be better.
He was an AHL All-Star in Utica, just like Hunter Schinkirk.
Yeah, he knows. Well,
Look what happened to him.
you could say
He
all
got to
sorts
move
of
to
things.
California is the place he ought to be.
Isn't he running a kids club or something?
He's playing in Stockton, California, so his windows are rolled up all the time.
I think Jordan Subban. I mean, we'll have to see what he does coming into camp and stuff this year. He's earned a shot at some games.
More
and
than
we've talked
one
about the
game.
size is the biggest knock against him, but I keep saying weight-wise and muscle.
He's a brick
He's
shithouse.
a big guy. Like, I don't care if you're 5'8". If you weigh 200 plus pounds,
He's a brick
that's
house.
advantageous in the NHL.
Brick house.
PK's not that big a guy either, height-wise. Like,
No.
they
PK's
list
letting
him-
it all hang
Yeah, I thought
out.
PK was 6'2".
Brick house.
They list PK at what, 6'1" or something?
I thought he was 6'2".
But it's
yeah.
the same thing in the NHL where, like, I saw him in the room and he's not that much taller than I am.
PK's hockey card
Everyone's always 2 inches taller.
says he's
in the books.
6'7", and his card was made by PK. It's PK's brand. PK only appears on PK Subban brand hockey cards.
PK's the same build. PK's a wide, tough, strong
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah,
So
he
it
PK's
doesn't
publicist
matter.
told me that he's a very big man.
Actually, I saw PK being interviewed by David Amber in the pregame.
David Amber's a big guy.
But I'm like, David Amber makes PK Subban look like Jordan Subban.
PK Subban's publicist is going to have an apple box for him next time.
I saw him interviewing Sidney Crosby. I'm like, you tower over a lot of people.
Why are you playing on the fourth line, David Amber?
Do you come with the hockey night in Canada?
Eventually.
Oh, yeah.
The last thing Markstrom said.
I just got that. That was very funny.
Markstrom on Ryan Miller possibly re-signing. I really like working with Ryan, but only one goalie can be out there.
Not true.
Oh,
Just play on different teams.
Are they going to do it? Are they going to do another Kumite, like where they like race each other in the skills competition, and the guy who doesn't get hurt gets to play all the games?
Why do you think they were? That's how they were. That was their subtle tank ability.
That was survival of the fittest.
I think that'll. Oh, I have an email.
Okay.
I forgot to do this last week. This
Ooh,
will
an email.
This will wrap up the show. This comes from.
I guess the Abbotsford AOL is working again.
This comes from AJ out in Chilliwack. He sent us.
Yup.
He sent us a nice email a couple weeks back, and he'd just been listening for a while. And he goes, "Thanks a lot." I think I thanked him for something. Appreciate you guys. I have a follow-up question on Finn. How does he rank mascot-wise? Do you have any inside information on who or how many people play him? Come to think of it, does the mascot have a gender? General Finn thoughts would be appreciated. Personally, I find him unsavory. Well, I would just like to say that he...
Unsavory.
Well, he smells. He's smells like eating all that fish and... He,
Okay, and regular listeners, Steph Pagani, has been tweeting at the Canucks asking about Finn's gender, I noticed, too. So,
That
I mean,
was
2017. They don't have to answer that question.
AJ used the correct pronoun because listed on the Canucks.com, Finn is a male.
Yeah.
He is a male orca.
That's what I said too, based on my many
Now, the
interactions with Finn.
question I have is, was Super Grizz a man or a woman? I'm not sure.
There were no Cubs.
That doesn't mean
he had
anything.
the arms of a man.
And he had the grace of a lady, of a Cirque du Soleil lady.
We should bring back Super Grizz. I would love to see Super Grizz at Canucks
Kind of
games.
like how Youppi survived the Expos' demise, and now Youppi is the mascot for the Montreal Canadiens. Yeah, Super Grizz might have been the most exciting thing about the Grizzlies. Paul,
Super
you and
Grizz.
me, we're going to make that happen.
Finn out, Super Grizz in.
There's room for both. I
Eh.
like Finn. Am I the only person who doesn't mind Finn?
I
Oh
like
no, I think Finn is a
He's
solid. I
fun.
love when they've got
the smoke comes out of the
smoke
bowl
coming
because
out,
he's
yeah.
high, because it's Vancouver.
He's fine. He's like super non-offensive.
He's great. He's not as good as Slapshot, the Washington Capitals Eagle mascot.
Did you see? It was Finn's birthday this week. Is this
Yes.
part of the reason why that came up? And they posted all those best of, and they had him cuddling with Pamela Anderson, and then I was
Everybody on the
Little
Canucks
off color, and
organization cuddled with Pamela.
I-
Even
Anderson.
certain top 4 defensemen.
I posted the makeout photo though because I don't know
Of
if
you and
remember that.
Finn?
No, of Pamela Anderson and Finn making out.
Oh, there were photos of her and Jason Garrison strutting around Vancouver drunk in the middle of the day once.
She tasted like Brett Michaels.
My.
Why does this guy have such a big problem with Finn?
I don't really like Finn, actually. I don't think he's very good.
Yeah, but you don't really care enough about Finn to think about him more than right now.
I think
that guy should just write us back. What's your deal with Finn?
There you go. AJ, rate us why you don't like Finn.
Yeah, why would you call him unsavory?
In terms of
harmless.
in terms of mascots, he's not the best.
Maybe he's not the worst.
No, he's just meh. I'm fine, and that's so Vancouver.
He's not as bad as Harvey the Hound, which makes no sense at all.
He's like a fire dog.
He's not a Dalmatian though. He's like a weird husky thing.
Before Finn, wasn't there just like a bear that would occasionally show up at the Coliseum wearing a Canucks jersey?
That was an actual bear.
Yeah.
Oh,
it was the
from the West End.
Yeah,
that was just Glenn. He was the promoter for Score on Davey.
He's a great guy.
10-cent wings.
Well, I thought that was an appropriate. That was an appropriate mascot for Vancouver. I loved that. And, Finn came in and pushed him out of the way. So maybe we're just a little upset about that.
I think it's a really cool idea that you had, though. I think that was a really good idea, Paul, is like get Super Grizz.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't know why Super Grizz, because Finn came in around just after the Grizzlies left,
but
right?
Kids love Super Grizz. He was so big.
He was
when
cool.
He would come to our high school, we would get fucking jacked.
That's exactly
Anyway, he's like, do you guys want to hear the horrible truth about how we have no plan, or do you want to see some trampoline dunks? Dunks.
It was a good suit, too. Like,
it
was
great.
Very
horrifying.
He was able to
oh, man.
But, I mean, he was able to do all those tricks and stuff, and most mascots cannot do what Super Grizz
He was
did.
almost as good as the Phoenix Suns gorilla, who might be one of the low-key best mascots
good
of all
too.
time.
And I miss the Sasquatch from Seattle, the Super
he was
Sonics
good
mascot.
too, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess maybe
NBA has a history of some great
They
mascots.
really do. They do it better than most leagues do.
that'll wrap it up for this week's podcast. Then we'll go into 5 minutes for paying. If you want to support the show, head on over to iTunes, rate and review, leave a comment, do anything to counteract disgruntled former employee Sheila's 1-star review, which said she couldn't masturbate to it, and then she updated it to just a bunch of cookie emojis.
There aren't very many things that she can't masturbate to, including Good Housekeeping magazine.
Well, I mean, go back to the archives.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the best way. Or you want to support us monetarily, head on over to patreon.com/pucksonnet. We'll do 5 minutes for paying on there. I don't know what we'll talk about, possibly Dave's back issues of
And
Good Housekeeping.
if you can't double click your mouse to our podcast, we will give you your money back.
That's a very fair argument. So follow us on Twitter, Pucksnet Sierra, Pucksnet Ka. And we'll do 5 minutes for paying. How's that sound?
Okay.
Yeah.
Fuck, you know,